Nic Sulsky, President, Monkey Knife Fight, on the Dales Report.
All right, I am happy to be joined here with the president of Monkey Knife Fight, Mr. Nic Sulsky, or should I say President Sulsky. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Chad. Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you on. Obviously, sports is back. Obviously, things are starting to heat up. Where are you? You're based in Toronto?
I'm based in Toronto. Monkey Knife Fight has been built virtually. We've been built remote since the very beginning. So, obviously the sports shutdown had a significant impact on kind of business, but from our operations perspective, it's kind of, we haven't skipped a beat, put it that way. So I think there's 5 of us now up in Toronto, and then the rest of our team are scattered across the U.S.
This industry just exploding. So let's get into it. Monkey Knife Fight. For those that don't know who you are, break it down for me. Who are you and what can you provide, obviously, to the sports fan?
Well, Monkey Knife Fight is the 3rd biggest daily fantasy sports company in the world now. We launched in September of 2018, literally just over 2 years ago. And we've quickly grown in every way imaginable. And what we've done is we've created a new style of daily fantasy sports that is more influenced by props and propositions. Our platform is really catered to that the passionate casual sports fan, right? Daily fantasy sports for those of your audience who aren't that familiar is a legal form of sports gaming that was inspired by season-long fantasy sports. FanDuel and DraftKings are the 2 most popular companies within our industry. They over the last decade, they've spent billions of dollars in marketing, really leading the charge. The problem with traditional daily fantasy sports that the FanDuels and the DraftKings of the world have spearheaded, those products aren't really catered to a casual sports fan. They really are focused on the kind of the hardcore sports gamer. 98% of the money is won by 1% of the people that play. So it's really for algos and hardcore mathematicians really to go in there and play. We wanted to create a platform that was lighter, more conducive to that casual fan who just loves, someone that loves the Detroit Lions, right? Someone that loves the Buffalo Bills can go on and just play a daily fantasy sports game while they're rooting for their favorite team. And then at the end of ultimately FanDuel and DraftKings have built incredible businesses, but you wouldn't necessarily say that they built incredible brands. So what we also wanted to do was really create the first relevant brand in the sports gaming space, ergo Monkey Knife Fight, cool logo, cool look, great identity. So, we've really been exploding over the last couple of years, and the last few months have been even more exciting. We've created partnerships across every professional sports league, a number of big teams. We just recently acquired Fantasy Draft. And so we are now cemented as the number 3 in the DFS space. And, we're growing exponentially week over week.
I got to ask you, who came up with the name?
Well, the owner of Monkey Knife Fight, Bill Asher, he owns a ton of bars and restaurants. And, as we were trying to figure out what we wanted to name the company, he told me a story about how he likes to name a lot of his bars and restaurants, where he would sit down with the manager or his partners, and they would sit down over a bottle of scotch, and they would just throw out their ideas. And Monkey or daily, or the way that Bill and I are, and the way that fantasy sports, it's not really a scotch business; it's more of a tequila business. So one night, Bill's in Santa Barbara and I'm in Toronto. We agreed we were each going to open up a bottle of tequila each and have some fun one night. And we woke up the next morning, and Monkey Knife Fight was a name that was
the rest is
thrown.
history.
Well, that's it. We're both Simpsons fans, and it is inspired by the Simpsons. Monty Burns has a boat, and he likes to have monkey knife fights when he's in international waters, right? So inspired, and we wanted a name. I mean, let's face it. You hear Monkey Knife Fight, people are like, "What is that?"
Yeah, exactly. I got to ask you, this is just my take, but and I want to get your opinion. I don't think people have fully grasped on as to how big this industry will be or can get. Where does the industry stand right now, and what kind of potential does it hold, do you find?
Well, what's interesting about the sports gaming industry in North America right now is there are 2 different there are two different pieces of the apple, two different halves of the apple, so to speak.
Yep.
Daily fantasy sports is a legal style of sports gaming. We're live in 37 states. Of course, sports gambling has now, when PASPA was repealed a couple of years ago, now sports gambling and mobile sports gambling is starting to roll out across the states. As I mentioned, FanDuel and DraftKings have built, DraftKings went IPO in the spring, and now their market cap is over $14 billion.
$18 billion as of this morning.
$18 billion. It's unbelievable.
A little bit of money, right?
Right. And they were built as a daily fantasy sports company.
Right.
Now, and FanDuel was part of an acquisition into a bigger group called Flutter. And both of their businesses were built on daily fantasy sports. They've spent 8 years, 10 years building up their database. They've spent billions of dollars marketing and getting their brand. They know that they've acquired as many customers in daily fantasy sports as they're going to acquire. They know their future is sports gambling. They are now, mobile sports gambling is starting to roll out across the states. They're now live in, I think, 7 states as of today.
Right.
That leaves massive markets
Huge.
that have been untapped by sports gambling. Sports gambling, call it 5 years from now, is going to be a $300+ billion industry. It's
Huge.
going to be massive. But today, if you're outside of those 7 states where mobile sports gambling is, you can't. So daily fantasy sports is users within those states' only option. So Monkey Knife Fight, the reason why we've been able to grow so quickly and so aggressively is because we're focusing in on the states where mobile sports betting isn't right around the corner, states that have significant populations and also have professional sports teams and franchises. So you're talking about California, Florida, Texas, Wisconsin, Minnesota. And if you can see, we've done deals with sports franchises in all of those states to help build our brand and our awareness. But most importantly, we're out there able to acquire customers right now who are daily fantasy sports users. And then we're just going to, no pun intended, draft a similar playbook that DraftKings and FanDuel have effectively articulated to generate $18 billion market caps. And so when sports gambling starts to turn, we will now have an anchor point within those states. And what FanDuel and DraftKings have also shown us is as states turn legal, and we can use New Jersey as an example. New Jersey went legal from a sports betting perspective.
Huge.
Massive. And the two companies that had a pole position as far as user acquisition and user action within those states were FanDuel and DraftKings because those users were familiar with their digital brand. They were already within those databases. And the FanDuel and DraftKings teams are more knowledgeable when it comes to digital marketing to constituents in those states than some of the more mature sports books or brick and mortar casino groups are, because let's face it, digital marketing is not necessarily in the wheelhouse of casino groups or a lot of international sports books because they're just not used to the North American sports audience.
Well, with COVID lingering, you got to bring the entertainment to the living room, right? And that's always been the case, but it's even more so now. I want to talk about partnerships. You've landed partnerships with the Miami Dolphins, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, pretty impressive. Mr. Brady didn't look too impressive last Sunday, though. The Milwaukee Brewers and the San Diego Padres. So how important is it for a business like yours to have partnerships in the world of sports, and more specifically, these teams? So
two good questions. I think for a company that's trying to build brand, I think it's important. It's important for 2 reasons. One, it gets our identity right in front of the eyeballs of the most passionate fans of those teams.
Yeah.
Monkey Knife Fight is built for those passionate team and passionate casual fans. And ultimately, what it also does for a startup like Monkey Knife Fight is it builds a lot of credibility and legitimacy in the eyes not only of the users, but also in the eyes of other businesses, other leagues, and investors, right? So, and then on the other side, sports gaming and how we believe we're going to be able to grow is also predicated on how we can tap into the communities of these sports teams and franchises.
So what does that mean?
when you're able to market via Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Google, so all the social and paid, being able to have relationships with those teams, exposure within their stadiums, exposure on broadcast that can then get married through some of the social channels that we like to market on and that our partners can help us connect with their fans on. Being authentic and genuine and creating activations that actually speak to true partners. If you look at what we've done with the Brewers, and we'll use the Brewers as an example because the football season literally just started. What we did with the Brewers and what we've done with a lot of our Major League Baseball team partners, not just the Padres, but also the Twins and the San Francisco Giants and the Texas Rangers and the Miami Marlins, is we really, COVID has been an unbelievably difficult time for a lot of people. And even though we're building our business and we want to create really strong, brand presence, we also wanted to create a strong bridge to the community. And one of the things that we tactically decided to do was to help the communities. And by that, I mean, we wanted to give back. So what we did was we created activations alongside the Major League Baseball partners that we have to have some fun and also give back. So as an example, in Milwaukee, our Fury, we call our logo, our mascot Furious George.
Nice. Okay.
So what we did was we took 100 Furious George cutouts and we put them into a section in the right field bleachers. And then we said, which visually was really cool and fun.
For sure, yeah.
And then every home run that hit a cutout, we're going to donate $10,000 to the Milwaukee Brewers Foundation.
Great, that's awesome.
Then we married that, or we kind of doubled down and tripled down and quadrupled down on that. We put tarps in a bunch of other stadiums in Miami, San Francisco, Texas, Minnesota, where it was similar to, it was inspired by Bull Durham. Great baseball movie, right? Remember, a home run hits a bull, you win a steak. Well, if a home run hits a tarp, we donate $10,000 to their COVID relief funds. So, by doing that, we're hoping that their fans and their communities understand that Monkey Knife Fight isn't just, we're not just trying to create a gaming brand. We're trying to create a community for sports fans and a strong identity, because ultimately,
it's a great initiative, right?
Thanks. Yeah. And we really, our goal, our vision is about creating a lifestyle brand. And we want people to not only think about Monkey Knife Fight as a great place to go and play fantasy prop games and win a little bit of money while you're watching your team, but also go following us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook and Instagram, our initiatives and our plans and our brand. And we really, like I said, these days, it's all about being authentic and genuine. And there was nothing better that we could think of to do than to try and give back to the communities that we're marketing to.